Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Art of Healing podcast. Sorry we've been away for so long. We've had a few weeks off. If you are a regular listener, you will know that.
We're back.
We're finally back.
Yeah, if you're someone that only listens to our podcast and doesn't necessarily engage in like our community and stuff, then you probably don't know that we've been sick for quite a while and been recovering and fasting. And bottom line is, we're better now. We're back now. The podcast is here. But if you're feeling like you've been left in the dark, there's your update. We are very sorry. We almost died. We didn't really. That's very over dramatic.
But what's life without a little bit of drama?
What Pearl said.
So yeah, thank you for tuning in today, guys. We have a really exciting podcast episode for you today, actually. Today we're going to be talking about finding the joy in the healing journey. This is actually one of our philosophies that we have at the core of the art of healing, which is the healing journey can be fun. And what we essentially call the healing journey is actually the living journey, because, a lot of us, when we experience trauma, we find it difficult to move forward from it and actually live our life with the experience that we've had. And yeah, so we actually really believe that like the healing journey is actually the living journey, and just learning to relive again.
Relive again.
Come
alive again.
Come alive again.
Not that if you're listening to you are alive, but you're probably not living your fullest best life. And the reason that you're here, we're assuming, is probably because you've got some trauma that you want healing. So the thing that's holding you back is, of course, that past experience or experiences, unfortunately, that you had, that you're still carrying into your present and then into the future as well. These things block our joy. So a lot of what we do and we teach our clients, and all through like the products that we create and the events that we put on, is, of course, at the core of it is trauma healing. But really what we really encourage people to do is activate their inner child, let their joy run free, really just kind of drop out of the mind and become fully embodied and present. And it's like, oh, what does that mean? Well, it means pretty much just that. It means not having thoughts that are in the future, worrying about like what you're going to have for dinner, that difficult conversation you got to have with your spouse when you get home, what you're going to do about next month's bills and things like that. And past being things like, oh, why did this happen to me? I can't believe that ex did that to me. Maybe I should have stuck up for myself. Thoughts like this, although we think by thinking about it, it's going to help us, it's doing two things. It's taking us away from the present, and it's actually sucking us of joy at the same time. This is so detrimental to your life. You do not realize until you actually stop doing these things, start stopping doing these things. And you kind of step out and you're like, oh my God. When you have like that toxic friend, let's say, or you see someone that's, one of your friends, let me rephrase this better. You see a friend and they're in a really toxic relationship, and you're on the outside looking in at this person thinking, there are so many red flags, it would cover a football stadium. But for some reason, you don't see even one. You keep making excuses for them. You've been together for way too long. They keep treating you and disrespecting you, and yet here you are. Why can you not see what I can see? That is yourself when you stop thinking outside the box that you're putting yourself in, and you realize, hey, I'm stopping myself from being happy here. But it's easier said than done. A lot of us, like you said, are so traumatized that we stop allowing these feelings to come in. I was reading something the other day, and it was talking about our capacity to feel. A lot of us are numb to our emotions. And the reason that we're numb in the first place is because when said traumatic event happened, to stop ourselves from being overwhelmed, this is a bodily function. We have no consciousness of this. What the body does is it suppresses the feelings because it doesn't want you to get hurt. It doesn't want that feeling that is boiling inside you to become so overwhelming that you essentially break down. Can happen. So it puts it into your body. The problem is when it's stored there, it's going unfelt. Obviously, our job and part of the healing is to unravel this feeling and start to gradually ease that pressure and address the feelings that went unaddressed. What we don't realize, though, is whatever feeling it was, let's just say anger was the feeling and maybe grief was the feeling. Although this is what we maybe know is being suppressed, what we don't realize is the opposite side of that is the joy that's being suppressed as well. So our capacity to feel pain is matched with our capacity to feel joy. If you're ignoring the air quotes negative emotions, you're also blocking yourself from moving forward in the joy. Tough.
Yeah, it's a little bit like that period in our life where we had a 3-hour morning routine, where we had like all the healing modalities, practices that you can think of under the sun as part of our morning routine, but we were doing two things. One, we were doing way too much.
Way too much.
Way too much. It was causing way too much stress. We were not happy doing it. I absolutely hated it. And two, we weren't actually feeling our feelings in doing those practices. We were just doing practices thinking, hey, we're going to keep doing this. We're going to do it for a while and then I'm going to magically be healed. But actually, the reality is you have to feel it to heal it. And if you're avoiding sometimes with these practices, avoiding how you actually feel, then you're not gonna see the results that you want to see. And something that we found whilst we were on doing all the modalities and doing all the things is actually we weren't really cultivating a lot of joy in our life, or even really connecting with that inner child. Like, we're quite playful people and actually generally quite in tune with that inner child, but something that we found that we were so focused on like doing this thing that like our inner child suffered. We did not have time for we didn't really have time for anything, actually, because we were so trying to fit everything in. Like, we spent such a long time doing our morning routines, we didn't actually have time to like do our job, and then our job would take 10 hours of the day anyway, and then before you know it was bedtime, so there was no time for play, there was no time for fun. And I remember, actually, funnily enough, we had a conversation once, because we used to have this thing where we were like, we're not taking breaks, but I remember once it was like really good weather. The weather was amazing. You might remember this. The weather was absolutely amazing, and I was like, babe, can we like take the afternoon off and like go in the sun, maybe go to the park, do XYZ? Paris was like, no, we have X to do, Z to do, da, 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 da. And I was like, okay then. But like, if I look back to that moment, and actually probably loads of other moments where we felt like we should just work because we have work to do, or we should just do XYZ, we weren't allowing ourselves to like indulge in the moments and the things that would bring us joy. We were so focused on like achieving our tasks and doing the things that we needed to do and practicing our healing modalities that we like let the things that actually encourage living fall to the wayside.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Is like we speak to so many people that tell us that, hey, I'm doing all the right things, my diet is amazing, I exercise, I go to bed on time, I drink loads of water, I meditate, I do yoga, all the things, but yet nothing's changing for me. And it's like Pearl said, it's because we probably, we've all heard of spiritual bypassing, right? Like, oh yeah, I've got this problem with it. Oh yeah, but everything happens for a reason. You're just the spiritual bypassing, not addressing the thing. But the emotional bypassing is actually a thing as well. And the emotional bypassing is a lot more detrimental to you because not addressing your emotions is what's causing your problems.
Yeah.
And it's like, let me say it again, not addressing your emotions is what is causing your problems. It's not in the workshop, it's not in the special retreat, it's not in the coaches, it's not in the special diet, it's not in the best routine ever. It's not in another self-help book. Like, I'm probably the king of self-help books.
Can confirm.
When I first got into trauma, I read every book under the sun because I thought that I would find the answer to my problems within a book. But really, I should have known, because it's similar to going to university. I studied business. You don't really learn about running business, studying business. You learn about business by doing business. It's the same with healing. You learn about healing by doing it, not by reading it. And we think some of these things are helping. And don't get me wrong, they do help. That's not what I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying ditch the books, don't educate yourself, don't go to the meditation and breathwork classes, do those things, but it's what's behind that. Are you doing it because you think like you have to, or are you doing it because it's what your body needs at that moment and it's going to help you move forward to where you need to go? That's the question we have to start asking ourselves. It's about anything in life. What is the intent behind the action? If we're just picking up our phone and mindlessly scrolling, well, what's the intent? There isn't one. It's distraction, right? But if you're picking up your phone because you just got an idea and you really want the answer to it, and you think, hey, I wonder if I can combine breath work with somatic movement, how is that going to help my situation? And you start going down a rabbit hole of that. There's very different interactions. They might lead you to a 2-hour spiral on your phone, but one leads to, an answer. The other one leads to brain rot.
Yeah. So joy is essentially something that can only exist when there's a gap in your thoughts. So it literally means you have to be present to experience it. You can't experience joy and be overthinking at the same time. The two literally do not go hand in hand together. So in a previous episode, you might have heard me mention about the default mode network, which is where the location in your brain where the voice in your head lives. Now, if there's overactivity in this area in your brain, it's linked to depression. So you can probably understand how like overthinking links to depression. Now, when you experience a moment of awe, a glimmer, or like something that brings you joy. So think of things like when you see the sun shining, or when the sun shines on your face, you see a beautiful sunrise or a sunset, you see a flock of birds, or maybe something else. But when you experience those moments, that part of your brain becomes silent because you're so fully present. Basically, in order for you to experience joy, you have to be fully present. You can't experience joy whilst living in the mind. You have to be in the body. You have to be in the now. And this isn't something that is easy to everyone. Like, we're so used to being on our phones and multitasking. Like, multitasking is like the enemy of being present, basically.
Yeah, and it's like worn as a badge of honor. Like, yeah, I can multitask. I'm a good multitasker. All that tells me is that you're double distracted.
Yeah. Like, well done on completing all your tasks, not like who anyway. I just want to know who anyway is actually really good at multitasking. You mean you're good at jumping from one task to another, but like not completing any of it? I mean, that's a tangent for another time.
I actually was watching or listening to a podcast the other day talking about multitasking, and you can actually multitask, but not when the two tasks are the same. So there's active and passive multitasking.
Oh, interesting.
For example, cleaning the kitchen whilst listening to a podcast.
That makes sense.
Passive is listening to the podcast. Active is cleaning the kitchen. Whereas you can't actively be on your phone whilst texting a friend and having like a proper conversation with them whilst cleaning the kitchen, for example. So it's about pairing the right tasks with the right thing. Obviously, you don't want to do more than those two. But yeah, pro tip. If you do want to multitask, there is a way to stack them, but they can clash. So still better to do one at a time, really. No overwhelm. Coming from someone that used to do that all the time.
King of stacking over here.
We won't get into that right now. But yeah, and I think, a lot of the finding the joy in the healing journey that we always say comes to living, right? And it's just about asking yourself on a real, deep one, hey, the life that I'm leading right now, does it bring me towards more joy, or is it bringing me towards more pain? Or am I kind of just in the middle, stuck in the water, floating around, wondering or hoping that something will change? Most of us probably are at that midpoint where you're just waiting for something good to happen. Me and Pearls will tell you this for free. Nothing in your life will happen that is good without you making it happen. And you're probably thinking, no, things that have happened and I didn't do anything, they just came to me. Yeah, but what energy was you carrying? How was you feeling at the time? What blocks did you lay down before that thing that you just randomly happened out of nowhere that you kind of thought about, and then all of a sudden, just by coincidence, air quotes, it happened? You create your own luck. You create your own joy. You create your own happiness. You create your own love. Before you start cultivating these things, you won't experience it in your life, right?
Yeah. And yeah, one of the questions we get a lot of the time is, how do I connect with my inner child? And I think the reason a lot of people ask this question is because they associate connecting with your inner child with joy. Mm-hmm. Because if you think of kids, they're always joyous, they're always having fun. You might have heard one of our other podcast episodes, but Paris and I met a young girl like years ago. She came into the lift, she was like pushing all the buttons, and she was just having the time of her life. She must have been like, what? Like 3 years old, 4 years old. Anyway, the lift got to the ground floor and she left the lift and she started dancing. And we were just watching her in just absolute amazement. Like, this girl is having so much fun, and all she's done is take her out on the lift and push some buttons. But we named her Joy. So I think it's common to associate the word joy with children. And I think the reason we get this question a lot is because when people are in survival mode, they don't actually know how to have fun anymore and relax. And I think the things that we think are fun actually are not fun. They're just things that we default to, like things like going on social media, or like binge watching a TV show, or like for some people, their vice might be like going out for a drink and think, no, I've had a great time, but you're not filling your cup in the way that it needs. And I think for a lot of people, the way that it needs to be is connecting with their inner child, being present, not doing things to like distract them from the present moment, but actually indulging in the present moment, dealing with whatever feelings come up for you. Because like Paris said, the feelings that the feelings that you want to feel are on the other side of the feelings that you're avoiding, essentially.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. It's that you don't really associate doing something fun with healing, because you think that in order to heal, you have to directly address the issue. But you will find that committing to more joy, you'll have so many more breakthroughs that way. Like, sometimes I'd just be sat here painting, and then I'll figure something out that's been really bothering me for ages. And I'll just, it comes out of nowhere. It's not like I'm sat there painting, just, really going over this thing in my head. I'm enjoying myself. There's the word, enjoy, right? Enjoy. And then it just comes to me. But it doesn't come to me as a frustrated thought. It doesn't come to me as a stressful one. It doesn't come to me as like, oh my God, my heart's starting to race. I'm starting to like feel really overwhelmed here. It comes to me with clarity, almost as if, you know, when you get an idea and it's like something just shoots into your brain, you're like, oh, it's like that. It's almost like your brain is working behind the scenes to figure this out. And you're now, because you're in the present moment, giving it the space to breathe. Once it has that space, it figures it out for you because it knows that you want to and it's trying to do it. But because it's so stressed all the time, your brain's signaling to your body's signaling to your brain, and they're both going, we're in danger here. Switch to survival mode. Let's get into the sympathetic. Let's go into fight or flight. We don't have time to solve problems. We have to survive. You have to come out of this mode. And joy is one of the best ways to do it. Joy and play will always bring you into the present moment. Like Pearl said, if you've ever seen a child playing, do they look stressed? Do they look like they're overthinking? Do they look like they're worrying? No. All they're caring about is if Timmy's going to pass them the ball, if Jessica's going to finish skipping more skips than her, and, you know, whatever else is that kids get up to these days. But my point is this: the more joy and play that you bring into your life, the less stress you'll feel and the more that you'll heal. What's the bad deal here? What, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think as well, like Paris just touched on art. Like, I think a lot of people don't know this. Like, we are such big advocates of like art and incorporating art into like your healing journey. I'm gonna start calling it joy therapy. Actually, I think that's what we should call it, joy therapy, where you're doing things to actively cultivate joy in your life. And yeah, like in relation to the art thing, for example, like art was one of the first things that I did that wasn't a traditional healing modality. Not like, you know, art was like one of the first things that I did when I had like some of my biggest breakthroughs. I spent a very long time during COVID in my apartment doing lots of art, and in doing it I was present, but those present moments were allowing me to process the emotions. And it's like Paris said, it's not like you're sat there like thinking about these things in your head, but because you're present and you feel safe, the emotions that you've suppressed are slowly coming up, and because you're in a state of flow, you're able to process them in a gentle way. And this has been phenomenal for us. Like, we 100%, if it's not something that you've tried, we absolutely recommend it. We used to do workshops, and we probably still will do some more workshops in the future. So if you're not on our mailing list, by all means join. So when we do have some out, you're more than welcome to come and join us, because yeah, honestly, we are such big advocates for it. So yeah, stay tuned. More shit coming soon.
And you know, it's also about going back to joy. We think typically, like, we used art an example, but it can be subtle as well. It can be like just enjoying your favorite cup of coffee on a Saturday morning. It can be like ringing one of your parents, or it can be just like sat down on the sofa, present with your partner, with their hand in yours, just enjoying the moment. All of these things bring joy. The problem is that we're too busy to notice. And I guess that's where it ties into glimmers. Throughout your life, throughout your day, on a 24-hour cycle, there are so many things in your life to be joyful for. From the minute you open your eyes, that's joy. Congratulations, dummy. You've got another day to take the day. Most people don't get that privilege. From the minute we open our eyes, we should feel gratitude. We should feel joy. But for most of us, what happens is our brain floods with thoughts from the past, from the day before, from the week, from the task that we have to do today. And it takes the joy away.
Yeah, and I think the other thing to remember is as well, like, whatever you give attention to, you will see more of. Like, Paris and I did a color walk in December, I think it was. We were in Amsterdam, and we decided, hey, we're going to do a color walk today, and we're going to look for different colors. I looked for the color green. I think you looked for the color red or blue. And we did not realize how much of the color that we were looking for was everywhere. And I think it's and you know, we'd been in that area for a couple of days, and we didn't even notice half the things that we noticed when we were on this walk. And I think the reality is that, yeah, when you start paying attention to like things that are around you that are like beautiful and amazing and like spark joy and awe in you, they're everywhere. You'll start to realize they're everywhere. And I think as well, the other thing to remember is that if you're someone who feels like, you know, fearful of feeling joy or afraid to feel joy and happiness, like something that we get a lot in our shake therapy class is we're obviously telling people what can happen or the emotions that can come up for you. And I think people always assume that like you're going to just feel negative emotions, like you might cry, because we get people crying quite often. You might cry, you might feel angry, you might feel sad, but actually you also feel like the emotions that like are, let's say, more desirable, like happiness, laughter, and joy. And the reason that you're able to feel those emotions during these practices is because for a lot of people, we have suppressed those emotions. We have pushed them down because for whatever reason, we didn't have a safe container to feel those emotions, or the people around us didn't support us feeling that way, or we didn't feel like we could share that emotion in our environment. So what happened? We suppressed it. So when you end up doing trauma release work, sometimes you start laughing, or you start feeling like euphoric, and you're like, why do I feel so euphoric? I feel like I thought this was going to be different. I thought I was going to cry in this session, but I'm actually so happy. And that's the reality of it. So if you're someone who feels that, you know, afraid to feel joy, or afraid or feels that you can't feel joy, then I really want to remind you that you absolutely deserve to feel joy. You deserve to live vibrantly. So please don't let that hold you back. So yeah, just to round up, how do we find the joy in healing? Number 1, be open to it.
Be open.
Be open to it. Let your heart open up to the idea of feeling and experiencing joy, because the joy is already inside you. It's just waiting to be activated, right? Number 2, focus more on the moments of awe, glimmers, and joy that life has to offer you. Do it. Look every day. Look around you. Wake up tomorrow morning and decide, actually, today I'm going to look for beautiful moments of awe. You know, like when you see something really cute, like you go to the train station and you see someone like waiting for their partner, and then they meet and they're like hugging, and it's just so beautiful to watch. Look for more moments like that. And honestly, your day will be full of like love and joy, and you'll start to realize like, hey, it's not so bad after all.
And number 3?
Be more present and connect more to the present moment. So if you catch yourself spending time in your head, just remind yourself, hey, thank you for your thoughts and feelings and whatnot. Not your thoughts and feelings. Thank you for your thoughts right now, but I'm going to be present in my body, and I'll chat to you another time, and come back to the present moment and remember where you are and what you're doing.
And number 4?
Build a stronger connection with yourself. Create rituals. Find something that you find fun and add it to your healing modality. So the things that you find that are like a bit of a chore, for example, like, you know, I have a lot of resistance to like doing certain healing modalities. So I have to have like fun infused in them, or some sort of ritual, or something that's like making it seem like this is a fun thing to do. And actually also as well, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but like traditionally, somatic shaking isn't really done with music, is it? People do it with music, but it's not really like traditionally done that way. So when you're doing the exercise, you don't have to do it with music. But we found that actually if we put on a song that we absolutely love, it becomes more fun all of a sudden, and it's something that we love doing. So like, yeah, take that as like a little tip of something that you can do into the modalities that you use. If you are somatic shaking and you're doing it silently, slap on a song and see how that goes. If you're journaling tonight, maybe light up some candles, you know, make your favorite snack and like turn it into a whole little ritual and a thing that you do, light some incense. So yeah, romanticize your life, create some rituals, infuse fun into it in a way that you will enjoy it.
Okay, and what's 5?
Connect more with your inner child. So let your inner child out. Your inner child is just waiting to be awoken and be free. So tap into it, let it out.
And round it off with 6.
6. The final thing is make sure you're doing things that you love. So I know a lot of the time when like we're not feeling great, we avoid even eating the foods that we love, or like wearing the things that we like, or like going to the places that we enjoy. Start doing those things again. Do the thing that you're avoiding, because your body will thank you for it. A big example that I always use for this is sometimes you might feel like you don't want to go for a walk, but you know, walk would be really great for your mental health, or it'd be really great in general, and it'd be nice to go see your friends. Do it. Do it, do it, do it, because you deserve to live vibrantly. So have all the fun in the world and do the things that you love.
Ciao for now.
Did you have a pro tip?
It's save it for another time.
Okay.
That's all.
Ciao for now. And I think what people find is actually how to get out of survival and how to actually start to... Why am I struggling to speak?
Again. You got to do a funny face with it too.
That's not what I was going to say. I'm fuming. I'm so sorry. Just dump me.
I would never do that.
Just dump me.
Not over words.
Just get rid of me. I'm so tongue twisted. I'm going to have to get my tongue removed. The bloopers are going to slap.
It's funny, as this was when you was doing it, I was like, actually, we probably should put bloopers at the end of the thing. Maybe not for the actual podcast listening, but on the YouTube one. I was like, it'd be funny to have
It will just be like
bloopers
a whole
at the-
minute of me going, bleh, bleh,
Why is it just on me?
Yeah.
I'll be
Actually, we probably could put it in the audio as well. It'd be funny. And here's today's bloopers. This is the flagship episode because this is the episode where we decide that we're gonna have bloopers at the
yeah.
end.
I told you it was going to be a good episode, guys.
You're welcome.
Feel free to put that at the end.
You're welcome. Good example, though. Things can cause stress. Things can maybe even cause overwhelm at times, but you can still find joy in it. You can still laugh about it. The problem is where we most get stuck on is that we don't laugh about it. We just let it become our default mode. We get stuck in that survival so much that it's just like, oh, stress is normal to me. And
it's not normal to have sweaty palms all the time. Okay, I'm telling you, it's not.
It's really not. And we're in the hustle culture. Work as hard as you can, be as productive as you can, achieve everything by working your hardest, sacrificing your life to get to the top. The real question is, what are you losing by doing that? You're not just losing your sanity. You're not just losing your joy. You're losing your peace. You're losing your life because you're doing and you're working so hard for something that you probably don't actually want. Because if you did want it, newsflash, you wouldn't feel that stressed. There goes the light bulb moment when your body is telling you, hey, I'm feeling X, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling fatigued, I can't think anymore. That's at least a sign to have a break. If anything, it's a sign to really remove yourself from the environment and take a serious, at least an hour. Do you know what I mean? But we're just like, go, 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 go. It's at work, it's in our healing, it's in studying, it's whatever it is. It's like we think that if we do things as fast as possible, it's going to get us to the result that we want. But particularly when it comes to healing, when you try and speed through your life, when you try and speed heal, what you're actually doing is you're just ignoring the feels, you're ignoring the signals from your body, and you're just causing yourself more stress. And a body that is under stress cannot heal anyway. So it's counterproductive. You're just doing stuff to tick a box, but it's not getting you to where you want to go. This is probably why you feel so frustrated.
So yeah, the fastest way to heal is enjoy your life, do things that make you feel joy, and be present.